Good morning, everyone from Rhodes, Greece. We're gonna go on a driving tour of Rhodes today. Hi, thank you. So a lot of buses out here waiting to get folks and take them to the various excursions.
Our city has been around for the past 2,400 years. It was founded in 411 BC, and if you keep looking on your left, you will see ruins of that city, of the Temple of Aphrodite of Venus in Latin, right here on your left. Each of these buildings carries details of a different architectonical rhythm. So this one on your left-hand side, which is the New Market, has more arabesque details, since they also had some colonies in Africa. The second one, which is a bank, still is a bank, has this special elaborate iron cast windows, which shows you that it was a quite important building, followed by a dome on your right-hand side and a bar on your left-hand side for the elite troops of Italy.
So before we tour Rhodes, we've actually driven 35 miles from the old city to the Ancient Kamiros, and we're going to explore some of the archaeological dig here from this city, which dates back all the way back to 1400 BC. It's actually very warm here today in Rhodes and in Kamiros, where we just arrived. You can see behind me here the ocean, and as we were coming along the coast driving down here, we are south of the town of Rhodes where we docked. We're actually in the center portion of the Rhodes Island, but back here the ocean, you can see just across it. You can't see it on the video, but if you were to be down by the water, you could actually see, I think it's under 10 miles or so, the coast of Turkey and some of the mountains of Turkey. So the island of Rhodes is the farthest Greek island to the east, right up next to Turkey. So pretty cool. There's a lot of history here. We saw a lot of cool architecture and buildings as we were riding through the town, and we'll see a lot more of that once we visit here. I think we have an hour to visit here and see some of these ruins and the archaeological site, and then we're going to head back to the old town of Rhodes, the medieval town of Rhodes, and we're going to do a walking tour there. So a lot to show you today here, the beautiful island of Rhodes, Greece. There you can see what I was talking about. You can see there about the center of the screen. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. You can see those mountains. That's actually the country of Turkey, which is just off to our west-northwest from where we are right now. So pretty cool to be so close to Turkey. I have been to Turkey before, to Kusadasi, which isn't so far from here, but beautiful country, and it's cool to see it from Rhodes today.
Gradually, we have a city which forms the formation of, it follows the formation of a circle. So in the highest location, which is up there, we have the temple dedicated to the gods. In case of the people of Kamiros, was always the goddess Athena. Immediately after the sacred zone of the temple, we have what the community needs to survive, and that's water, supplies, workshops, and the rich. So the rich families is the second circle, with the warehouses, the storage area, and finally we have as the outer circle the houses of the people. These are the houses that we have constantly in the community of Kamiros, in the first city, well until the 4th century BC. That's when we have the earthquake, probably the same earthquake that destroyed the Colossus of Rhodes.
This area was all the agora, or the market, so this would have been sort of the center of the town, and then the guide was telling us that this here would have been the fire pit. So this would have been where they made their fire, which was very important to the early societies, the ancient Greeks, as was water. And they had water systems which originated on the hill, and then water would come down into the various portions of the city and the town square. One more thing to show you real quick before the group leaves me. Here is where they would tie up animals that they would auction here in the town square. So you see there, they would tie the animal up there. Then it would be marketed off here in the town square, and folks would come here to buy goods, to sell goods. So a lot of commerce and activity went on in this spot here. This structure here would have been one of the altars here. This was the sanctuary of the gods, so this is where the ancient Greeks would have came. The folks that lived here in Kamiros to make their sacrifices to the gods. You can see the altar there in the middle. They could actually put a lot of small animals, sometimes even 100 small animals on that altar, and you see sort of like the drain there in the middle, which is where the blood would flow. And then the bigger altar over here would be where they would put cattle and larger animals. And then there's a couple of other smaller altars here as well. This is actually ancient clay pipe. This would have been part of the pipeline system that they created in order to have water all throughout the city here. Made it all the way to the top. It's a lot of work to come all the way up that hill after being on a cruise ship for a couple of days eating all that good food. You can see behind me here, this is a lot of the town that we just saw. We were at the very bottom of the hill at the market, and then all the way up the hill to this pinnacle, and you can see back here is where they would have came and worshipped the gods. So all the way back down there is where we were. We came up the hill. You can also see behind me is the ocean back there, and across you can see even better from here, Turkey. And then let me pan around here, and you can see back here even more of the island of Rhodes. You can see the mountains over there. But a lot of this area, even outside of the archaeological area where we're visiting right now, was actually occupied by Kamiros and the folks who lived here. So a lot more of this area that we see here, they could probably dig and find even more of this society that we see here that they have been excavating for many, many years. Here's some of that clay pipework that we saw from down below. You can actually see it here. It looks like some of it here still in the rocks. And then over here, we have a huge pool, someone's mountaintop pool here. They said that this was 12 feet deep. And there's actually stairs on both sides that go down into the water. The stairs, I think, are over here on the other side. There's the stairs that they could actually take to get into the water. It actually looks like there were two sides to this particular pool. But high up here over the city, the town, would have been this pool.
To bring us into the city. We will arrive and we will enter from the highest part of the city, from a gate called Dubrovnik.
So we're entering the old city of the knights. The walled city here is 4 times larger than the Vatican City in Rome. The city dates back a couple of centuries BC. The palace here is where they believe the Colossus of Rhodes might have been located because of some inscriptions that were left in places here. Walking down the street of the night back toward the port of Rhodes, but it's all cobblestone streets, so very wear good walking shoes if you are coming to Rhodes. You're gonna walk the old town because a lot of the streets are like this. So we've reached the first of, I think, a few city squares that they have here in Rhodes. And you can see it's a lot of restaurants. It's just now 1:45, so a lot of folks are having lunch, maybe a late lunch. It's a beautiful day here. There's a light breeze blowing. The last time I was in Rhodes, I think it was 105 or 110 degrees Fahrenheit, but not today. It's probably in the 70s. So now we've made it back to the port area. After a great day in Rhodes, we saw a lot of history, a lot of old, very old buildings and forts and walled cities and ruins. So that was all great, but now we're gonna get back on the Apex, and it's just about 2 o'clock now in the afternoon. So gonna get back on and enjoy the afternoon on the ship. Still dealing with a little bit of jet lag, so my body wants to like lay down and take a nap right now. That's not gonna happen. Going to enjoy the ship, but it's been a great time here in Rhodes today.